Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, Lore Sports proudly brings to you the best racing podcast in the world. Now, here's your host, Lauren Leach, the color guy, Mark Allen, the Lugs Racing Podcast.
Hey everyone, welcome to another edition of the Lugs Racing Podcast, presented by the Corp Racing and Valley Gasket. Thank you to Tim, Ben, and Kerry for all that you do for us and all of the racing community. It's truly remarkable. Mark, episode 183, man. This it'll be a good one, but it's a somber day. We got the 24th anniversary of 9/11 coming up. We've seen some horrific acts happen over the last week or so again. So it's just at times it's been hard to get through, and you kind of wonder what will be the end of these despicable acts happening in our country.
Hey man, good to see you, man. I'm still at home here at the man cave. You always get that red cup out, man. It's stashed away in the camper, so we appreciate that. Yeah, man, pretty sad day in America today, man. It's quite challenging. You got to have some belief here, man, that good conquers evil. Senseless. Let's just all hope and pray that something positive can come out of this. But right now, this country and our people are lost right now, man. So, unfortunate day here.
Yeah, very unfortunate. It's always kind of a somber time of the year with the anniversary of 9/11 coming up. And there's just been a lot of big things happening. And you wonder when it'll end, what will be the straw to break the camel's back, for lack of a better term. But hopefully it's soon. And I ended the podcast last week saying, if you're thinking of posting something negative or you're going to be negative, maybe rethink that. Look yourself in the mirror. And I think this, I'm not even doing it justice, I guess, but this is another reminder of that. Be good to your friends, be good to your neighbors. You may disagree on things. Hell, even family gets in arguments and all that, but to see what we've seen over the last week or so is terrible. And I think we, as a nation, as a society, as a human race, really need to sit back and think about what we want to accomplish and what we want to be, because enough's enough.
We're better than this, man. Sometimes the human race is kind of rather embarrassing. But like I say, maybe this could show a sign of maybe which direction we're going to go in a positive way. We all don't understand it, man. Stuff happens for a reason. So I guess say a prayer and hang on to your family and friends and give everybody a hug, and we carry on, man. We can't control it. One bad act just affects the whole nation, man. And like I say, we're better than that, and let's hope there's something good comes out of this.
Yeah, we are better than that. At least I hope so anyway. But it's hard to move on to that, but we're going to do it because that's what we're made to do. And that's what those people that have lost their lives and have been going through a hard time would want us to do. So we're going to do our best here. We got another good one coming up here. We're going to have Brandon Aschenbrenner on, The Bev Aschenbrenner Memorial with the Tundra Super Late Model Series is coming up this Saturday at Marshfield Motor Speedway. They also got the Fall Classic coming up later. So it'll be good to talk to Brandon, have him on here. He does a tremendous job up at Marshfield and wherever he travels to work. So it's been good to get to know him over the last few years, and I look forward to getting to know him a little bit better here, and for everyone else too as well. So I think it's a good stopping point to bring him on and go up to the hotline here.
Let's go to the hotline, man. Let's say maybe a little bit of a distraction here for what's going on here, and let's talk some racing, and let's see what's going on with Brandon.
Let's do it. All right, Brandon, thanks for joining us today. I was saying before you came on here that it's been a pleasure really getting to know you a lot better over the last few years, and coming up to work at Marshfield Motor Speedway, and you travel to other racetracks and do a great job. So appreciate you coming on. How are you doing today?
Yeah, thanks for having me. Overall, doing pretty good. Pretty decent day at least. Tried watching some Brewers baseball, but that didn't go quite as planned as again. But having a tough time in Texas, but it happens to the best. And looking forward to Saturday.
Yeah, man, this was a rain makeup date, man, and we had how the Tundra Series seems to battle Mother Nature. But yeah, it looks like a pretty exciting weekend coming up for you.
Yeah, we're really excited. Unfortunately, it happened to be a weekend that worked really well for super late model racing for a while there, as Dells Raceway Park, of course, has their big weekend, but super lates were not on the card. So it really worked out with the rain makeup for the Tundra drivers to make that one. And then, of course, we had an Alive for 5 rain out, and that kind of messed everything up there. So with super lates being added to Sunday, I'm hoping it doesn't affect too much for people that really want to race. I hope actually race. And get out and can do both, or can run whatever show they really want to. I guess a little bit more, but we'll make do with what we have, and I think it's going to be a pretty good show yet on Saturday.
Hey man, I want to talk about your mom, Bev, for a little bit here to start before we go back and learn more about your career and how you got into it. A special lady in the racing community, one that we greatly miss. Obviously, you do as well. What was your mom like, and kind of talk about your mom here?
Yeah, one of a kind, I guess, would kind of start things off. That was a big part of it, and a really big thing around Marshfield, especially, was all the drivers looking forward to treats after the races. So it was had the butterscotch cheesecake bars and hopscotch crunchies, the haystack type deals, and whether it was brownies or cookies or a little of anything, it was always something that. She'd come down after the races, and all the drivers that were a part of the fan club at least would get a little snack, and some of those especially that were really affected like that with that. It was like Eugene Gregorich Jr. They loved every second of every moment with the treats and with everything else, and of course Al Cool with the Radiators when they had their car, and then with the 7-Eleven car, and just going back, a lot of the memories there really kind of takes us back. And yeah, she did so much for sports in Stratford as well. So, like Little League and things like that. She helped run the program for many, many years, my whole life. And then just really kept active with anything and everything sports related and racing related.
Not to, diminish your guys' relationship, but it seems like she was a second mom to a lot of people.
Yeah. That was, pretty much everybody that met her felt like she made you feel like you were the most important person in the world at that moment. And I think that really, really kind of brought that home, is that she could have that feeling of comfort, that feeling of knowing her forever. And you maybe only met her once or twice, really got to have that conversation. And, I think that kind of goes back to, she used to manage a lot of rental properties in the Marshfield area. And I think that kind of helped when you're constantly having new people from out of town and different nationalities and all this and that. She didn't care who you were. She didn't care where you were from, what color you were, or anything like that. She would respect you, and she'd, get to know you. And that was one of her finest qualities.
What did she like about racing, man? Did she have some favorite race car drivers? Tell her about on the racing side of it.
Yeah, so on the racing side, she had kind of started at, even back when Stratford had a track. There were a few races that she attended there, and got to work at one of the local car companies, way back in her early days of working, and ended up working with Bob Dalsky. Some know him as Grandpa Bob Dalsky, who used to race at Kaukauna when they first opened, and all the years of racing throughout. And they had worked together, gotten to know each other a little bit on the racing circuit, then had kind of disconnected for quite a while. And then we had gone to State Park, probably early 90s, late 90s, or maybe even early 2000s. And we heard Bob Dalsky was out there racing, and she took a second and was like, I wonder if that's who it is. And then I went down and talked to him. We got that connection. So, and it really was him. So then they got to reconnect, and see, that must have been like late 90s, because we were following Marshfield dirt track, because Marshfield was a dirt track for many, many years until they finally paved it in 96. It was the first season of asphalt. So we did the dirt track stuff for so long, and Troy Kuyath and Mark Kraus, those Stratford names that were big dirt names. And even Dean LaPointe, who's now, an asphalt guy, was the dirt guy at first. Rory Melbinger, all those names were connections that we got to know growing up. And that's kind of how that racing connection happened. It just ended up being something in the backyard that we were going to all the time. And that's kind of how that took off. And then with the asphalt change, and that brought into the whole national level. So we followed Tim Sauter and all the Sauter boys through the ASA national circuit, and that whole thing. So did a lot of traveling, did a lot of things with that throughout the 90s and 2000s.
You got me smiling here, and I don't even know some of the names that you had mentioned there, but you got me smiling because when you start mentioning those names, it brings back a lot of memories. And one of my favorite part of doing this podcast is to hear those names and how you get connected and how it comes full circle at some time. So those are some great memories here. Hey, I want to talk about how the Bev Memorial Race got started here, and then at what point did Tundra come involved in it?
Yeah, so the first race we had was 2017, and that was with Midwest Tour. And I think that was the one and only with the Tour, and then year 2 was with Tundra, if I remember correctly. And ever since then, it's been Tundra. But we got it organized, relatively quickly. The accident that took her life was in 2016. So then we did have a full year really to kind of get it planned out and get it going. And, had a great showing of people, had a great amount of cars. Everything was absolutely perfect for that first event. And then we had a lighting issue. So that will kind of forever be the first Bev and the last ASA race at Marshfield was the light issue race. So that is, I think, the biggest scar, unfortunately, with the race itself. But that started, 2017 was there. Then we got Tundra involved, and then added kind of support divisions here and there throughout, kind of changing those up a little bit. And then the last couple of years, we've had our local support divisions that have been running to make sure that they're getting some love too, because a lot of the local drivers that run 4 cylinders knew Mom and wanted to race in her honor as well. So we wanted to make sure to give them an opportunity to do so.
Yeah, as you know, being in the racing community, it takes everyone. It doesn't matter racing 4 cylinders or super late models. It takes everyone to kind of come together.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's been a real great show the last couple of years. We've had kind of the same divisions, and the Upper Midwest Vintage Series has been a mainstay. Now they could not make the reschedule because they are at, I want to say, La Crosse maybe that Saturday, or maybe they have a thing Friday night down south somewhere. So I know that they're running somewhere the night before. I couldn't make that. So we actually made up Mom's race for the Midwest, Upper Midwest Vintage Racing Series as part of another memorial race earlier in the year, which was then must have been on the Lodi, was it? Or no, it was the Brevik. On the Brevik Memorial, we ran 2 races, one for Mom and one for John Brevik.
So Tundra coming up this Saturday here. They bring a good contingency with them. What do you like most about the Tundra series coming up to Marshfield?
One of the biggest things that's been about the Tundra series has been Matt Panier. He knew Mom pretty well, because when we kind of initially got into racing, and this is something that I just, of course, brought up now with that question. So thank you for doing so. We followed the Mid-American Stock Car Series very closely. And that was, Lyle Nowak and the Shear Boys and, some of those drivers through there. And we got to know a lot of the Mid-Am drivers very, very well. And then Doug and Julie Strasberg were running the series at that point. And they had actually lived in Stratford for a couple of years. So they knew mom and dad through that process. So that was kind of our first real traveling, real dedicated, like wouldn't miss a race, would always go to Rockford every spring and fall. And always be at those events. And so that's kind of how we got into that. And then Matt was announcing for them. So that's kind of how Matt got to know the family. And then once he kind of took off to taking on the super late stuff, it really worked out well. And Matt's like, we want to be there. We want to, be there in her honor. And it's worked out really well ever since. He's been great to work with. The entire crew with Tundra has been phenomenal to work with, and so easy to work with as well. And that's what's made it just so easy to have them in the show every year.
Hey, when you're a little guy, man, when did you start going to the races? What's your first memory of going to the races, and how did you all get going there?
So I remember the dirt tracks. So we at Marshfield, we have the upper reserve parking areas where you can drive a vehicle in and grill out and all that stuff. So I do remember doing that back in the dirt days yet, and we'd throw the football around and do different stuff like that. But I also do remember going to Colby when Colby had a dirt track. We'd go there, and then once Colby's track closed because of Highway 29, then they opened Monster Hall in '95. So I remember going to Monster Hall quite a few times. Which was, a few different names throughout the time here as well. But going to those tracks, or probably some of my earliest was that the local dirt scene. And that would have been early 90s. So would have been 5-6 years old.
That was going to be a question, is how old were you when you started doing that? When did you know that you kind of wanted to get more involved with racing and kind of become announcer, race director, all the things that you're doing, because you're juggling a lot of things now? But when did you realize you wanted to start doing that?
Well, so I got into the announcing gig through the radio show that we do, that Kurt and I still do. We're down to 3 shows this year, but backed off a little bit with Wausau closing. But that was how I kind of got started, is Kurt and then Andrew Bartelt had the radio show, and they're like, we really want somebody to do stats. And like stat was like kind of right up my alley. I'm kind of a number nerd. So it was like, well, maybe he'll be interested. And then, I got into the show, and then it's like, okay. So then we were also broadcasting the show, the actual races on the radio from Wausau for a couple of years there. And then the same station that we did the radio show on carried the races. So then they were looking for somebody to be in between, because you wanted somebody to throw something to a commercial and yet let Bart and Kurt talk about track sponsors and this and that. But we still wanted the radio station sponsors to get read. And the track necessarily wouldn't have liked other sponsors that didn't sponsor the track read over the PA system, and so far and so forth. So that ended up being a third person to kind of be the intermittent person. And that was me then too. So everybody started to kind of recognize my voice there. And then Bart moved on. And I ended up taking over for Bart announcing at Wausau then. And the announcing gig took off great, and then got into announcing at Marshfield, and just keeps snowballing. It just keeps adding this and adding that. And I'm really starting to get to that point of I'm going to start unsnowballing and kind of starting that process now.
How old were you when you first started getting into the radio show there?
That would have been 13 years ago. So carry the one, mid-20s.
Sure.
Yeah.
And when did you get over to announce for like Wausau and then Marshfield and take over kind of race directing as well?
Yeah. So the first year, it might have actually been, I think the first year I announced was at Marshfield, because then Bart was still at Wausau, if I remember right. The years kind of all blend together here at this point, but I think I started announcing Marshfield, and that would have been taking over probably from Steve Parsons. And then when Bart left Wausau, that's when I jumped in there. So I think it was probably a year or two at Marshfield, then did Marshfield and Wausau. And then the race director thing came in right around the time we lost Gino. So, I mean, that was in that 2016-ish, 2017 mark, right around Mom's passing date as well. So soon after that, I ended up moving into the race director role. And then I did race direct at Wausau 1 year and then went back to announcing for the final year because I really love announcing a lot more than race directing for multiple reasons.
Hey, I don't want to hit a sore spot or anything like that. It's so sad to see a racetrack go away, and we're all affected about it down here, man. But I mean, that was your home track and everything. Are you over it, man, or what's your feelings towards it? What's your best memories there of a great Wausau racetrack?
Yeah, for Wausau, I mean, at least for my sake, it's been a little easier on me because Marshfield was and is my home track. So I kind of came to Wausau after things had kind of started to change, and so it was a matter of I didn't really start working there until Wimmers took it over. So I did go there back in the day when we first transitioned to asphalt, but I didn't have quite as deep of a relationship with State Park as a lot of folks in the area. That doesn't mean I don't miss it or anything like that, because it was certainly a great track for racing. Had a lot of character was the big word that a lot of people use for it. But one of my favorite memories was, I think, when the victory lane and the parking, the pits were on the inside of the track. So victory lane was like a raised concrete platform. And that's where they had to drive up. They would drive into the pits and drive up onto a raised victory platform. And then I was kid of the week 1 week and got to hand a trophy to a legend car driver. And I know it was a 33, I think it was a Hinner, like Pat Hinner, who drove a gold 33 legend car that I got to hand the trophy to. And that was one of my biggest memories.
I want to hit on this. You said multiple reasons that you like announcing over race directing. Can you hit on some of that and give us some insight into that?
Stress. Stress is the biggest one. Being able to, at the end of the night, put down the microphone and move on is the other thing, where the race director, you put down the radios, but you're not done. It's fortunately, if you have a clean night and everybody's happy, then it's a lot easier of a night. But if you got some upset people, you got some things to deal with. It just makes it a lot more stressful and a lot more time consuming. And, I think part of it too is that in the race director role that I am at Marshfield, I do so much other stuff that I kind of am the contact for Marshfield. I mean, everybody there knows about, Wayne's the main promoter and Wayne's this, but they see me at the pit gate taking registration right away. They see me at the driver's meeting. They know I'm race directing and on receiver. They see me at the pay window. So I'm everywhere, and I'm kind of that one that everything gets bounced off of one way or another. So I think maybe if I was just a race director and could, step away or drive away right after the races, that might help. But because I'm there all day, each and every time, I think that kind of adds a few more. I guess it makes it easier to make me more accessible.
Prior to being brought on to the radio show, there was announcing anything that you thought about prior to being asked to do that stuff?
Not a ton. I would sometimes take videos, or even looking way back, like when I first started Facebook, I would do sitting down at Madison, hey, top 5 with 15 to go, and then put the car numbers. So I was kind of doing a little bit of reporting. And then it never really did the full commentary thing until there's sometimes I would do a video and throw a few things in there. But it never really took off until it was recommended that I maybe would help be interested in the show. And it just kind of, again, snowballed from there.
It's quite interesting how it kind of snowballs very quickly from starting something there. One thing I just want to mention to you is I was kind of surprised to hear you didn't like the race director, because you're so good at it. The times that I've gotten to be around you doing it, how easy it is for you. Does it feel easy to you when you're up in the booth, and then maybe it's like the stuff afterwards that gets you, or is that just something that you don't realize while you're doing it?
Yeah, I mean, for the most part, it's stuff that comes relatively easy during that event. Now that I've been in it for a few years, there's still going to be a situation, stuff that comes up that you've never had before on a race night, and you're like, okay, well, does he go here? Does they go behind lap cars? Do they not go behind lap cars? What position here? So then, some of those situations are still stressful when they come up, or like if technology or something doesn't work or stops working that way, that's very stressful. But yeah, I mean, overall, once you kind of get the day going, it's not quite as bad. But yeah, it's all kind of the aftermath and dealing with, upset people that have one point of view. And, that was a classic example from the last time we raced, Marshfield. There's like 10, 12 people that saw one thing the same way I saw it, and about 20 other people that saw it the exact opposite way. And it didn't matter what side of the fence you were on. It was, you saw it from one angle and I saw it and all the other people saw it from another angle, and we had a difference of opinion. So those are the things that are tough. And not being able to always make the right call makes it tough. But you have that, whether you're an umpire, whether you're a referee, whether you're in any situation like that as well. So yeah, that's kind of the biggest thing, I guess, is just trying to make everything where it's always going to be correct, and knowing you just got to kind of know that it's not going to always be that way.
Well, that's the human factor. It's like in baseball, balls and strikes, same thing. And you try to get the right call, so I could see how there's some stress behind there. Hey, man, when I'm up at Golden Sands, I hear you announce up there. How involved are you at that racetrack, man?
Yeah, so the last 2 years I've been working in the pits, and then doing the pit announcements and that kind of thing, and getting the lineups printed. But then for Golden Sands, there were two races, I think, maybe 1 or 2 weeks this last year, where the other announcer who was helping Kurt this year couldn't be there. So then I helped on that week. And that's just so much fun. Like if I can go back to announcing full time at Golden Sands, I'll probably look at doing it. Otherwise, I've really kind of tried to back down a little bit from the schedules. But Cody Smiley and Shannon, they've been great to work with. And they always treat you with the utmost respect. And I try to make sure I do that too, where, I tell them I want to try to do a little something else, maybe, go with a fish fry for some friends on a Friday night. But then if you need help, if you're in a pinch, let me know, is kind of where we were at the end of the year. So we'll see what next year brings. We'll see what they have all set up for the announcing schedule or what happens. But I think if I'm going to do most of anything next year, I would really like to do announcing more than anything else.
What other tracks have you, or are you currently, maybe you can say both here, working at a little bit here over the season?
Yeah, so currently it's been Marshfield and Golden Sands. We did a day of destruction, or Wreck Fest, they called it, over at Toma. I'm also kind of heading up that group, another snowball effect that came in. So, I race direct the destruction type events at different tracks. So we did one up at Wicked Events in Medford this year as well. So we got another one of them coming up in October. So that's been keeping me busy as well. But then those are the active ones, though, would be Marshfield, Golden Sands, and then the destruction events. As far as past wise, I did announce with Matt for, it must have been a Tundra event up there doing the other classes at Norway. So I got to announce there. Milwaukee Mile was a pretty big one. I got to do that 2 or 3 times now with the Father's Day race. So doing the Upper Midwest Vintage, the Truck Series, and then the Mid-American a year or 2 in there as well. Those are the big ones. I did SK, that Monster Hall racetrack, for a year, I think, in there as well, and kind of helped with their PR role. And then, of course, Wausau.
Here's the burning question, because you've worked dirt, you've seen dirt, you've worked asphalt, you've seen a lot of races on asphalt. Dirt or asphalt? What's your favorite?
Yes.
I'm still an asphalt guy. I think if I am able to back down a bit more on working events that I'm committed to, I would like to take in some of the big money dirt shows just to see kind of what that is kind of all about, because we never really did that too much growing up. We did the big money asphalt shows, but just did the small dirt track stuff. So I would like to go to like Eldora and some of those big events and just to see what that's about. And I feel like I would love it just as much, if not more. But it's still always something too. It's nice to know some of the people that are running. So I know there's a few like dirt late model guys where I still know their names, and even ones that actually raced at Marshfield when it was dirt, so are still running. So I think asphalt for now is my preference, but I do like all forms of racing.
What else is on your bucket list to go to, whether it be dirt, asphalt, anything overseas? What's on your bucket list to kind of attend?
Good question. We got to do Phoenix last year for the championship. That was fun. Got to do Snowball 2 years ago. So that was neat. It'd be really nice to do the one at Freedom Factory around Thanksgiving. That's always a pretty big show. But I mean, I think other than that, something like just seeing Bristol, even though it's not Bristol as it used to be, still be fun to go to that event, one of the NASCAR races there, or if they do another local like late model show or something there, I think that would be fun. But yeah, other than that, nothing really on the big bucket list that I can think of.
So you got this big event this week, Tundra race, but on the 27th, you have another big event here on a Saturday at the end of the month, huh?
Yeah, so Fall Shootout's just a huge show for us at Marshfield, and I think it's going to shape up to be that way again. And we've got I think 7 divisions racing that weekend as well. So Friday night we'll have open practice, and we're also doing a benefit that night. I think it's gone out on Facebook now for Tracy Cisco, who also works at the racetrack. They unfortunately had a house fire. So we're doing a fundraiser for them on Friday night after practice at the racetrack. So we're hoping a few folks might come out and support that cause as well. And then, Saturday afternoon we'll be going at it. So a lot of racing action, and really looking forward to that one. It's always been a big show for Marshfield, and kind of started off being actually Steve Parsons, again, to throw his name in there. And I haven't heard from Steve actually, so I want to throw that out as well. I hope Steve Parsons is doing well. I know he was having some health issues, but he had brought in the Fall Shootout concept of having all feature winners from all tracks invited to Marshfield at the end of the year, and then we'd also have a qualifying race where you could race your way in if you don't meet the qualifications. But it was really kind of a neat invite type only event. And was really successful. And I think he did a great job with it. And we've just kind of kept it to where it's a big show for the track now, and kind of gotten that invite thing away from it. But like last year, late model wise, we had an excellent car count, and in all the classes, we had a really good car count, and we had a really great announcer that last year as well. So looking forward to that as well.
Yeah, well, I appreciate that. But coming up to Marshfield, one of the greatest tracks that we get to go to. We speak highly of it all the time, all of them. But there's something special about Marshfield. I can't quite put my finger on. I think it's the people really that are involved, and then the fans, just diehard race fans, great people. It's just incredible. But that fall shootout, I've got to announce for it the last 2 years. For 2 years ago, I think Tundra was part of that because, of course, weather was involved. Surprise, surprise. And then last year, invited back, and this year, I am really looking forward to it. The track and you, that's where me getting to see what you do is just incredible. How you run a show. I mean, I know I said it earlier, but to see you work, you are as hardworking as I see at a racetrack as anyone, and you make it easy on guys filling in.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah, it's something I always want to make sure that, it's, and that's one thing I'll throw back to Drew Kriebach. I think he does an excellent job as well. You could have never announced a day in your life, and Drew could give you enough info and enough ammo to feel like you know what you're talking about. And, that's kind of where, working for him a few times and announcing, like at the mile, like I mentioned there as well. It really kind of took back to like, we, if we have somebody coming in, we've got to make sure they're fully prepared and ready to go. And so that's kind of where that's all came from. So I appreciate that.
Yeah, absolutely. And the DeBoer family running the track there, Wayne doing promoting. It's just a great group. What is it like working with the group over at Marshfield? Because it just seems like everyone just is pulling the rope in the same direction.
Yeah, it's a little bit weird, to be honest with you, because Dan is the owner, but yet he's very, very hands off. There's not a whole lot that he does on the day-to-day basis, but when it comes to facility upgrades, when it comes to the money to make things happen behind, he's right there to be providing support, providing machinery, providing absolutely anything and everything. All the LED lighting and stuff, all that was a big hand into what Dan had his vision towards, and being able to make sure that Wayne could get everything up that he needed to. Working on getting a new playground up. It's in the works as well for the kids, because some of those playground equipments have been around since I've been around. So time to upgrade some of those. And yeah, things have really been getting better, and if you haven't been there all year, a new concrete entrance into the pits, which has been a lot better. Some new pavement down in the pit area has helped to replace some of the chunkiness that we had. So really a lot of the upgrades have been because of Dan, and then because of Wayne's hard work with his family, his brother there pretty much every day, doing everything there, and all the workers that get it done. And yeah, it is that everybody has that focus on making it as best as it possibly can at all times. And there's some times where, yeah, something might not get lawn mowed or something, because we were, back to back, how many weeks in a row there for a while. But everybody knows that we're all working towards that same goal and making sure that everything's on the same page. So it's been a really good family to work with, and really, really fortunate to have a good support group around them.
Hey, I want to kind of end with this here, buddy. What's one thing about your mom that some people or many people don't know that you just loved about her?
That people didn't know is a big part of this, because she was so in the community. So something that people really didn't know. I guess one that she never really loved cooking or baking, for that fact. Never really did that except for the racing world. Dad always cooked at home, and he would always make the meals and that kind of thing. So I guess that's kind of probably a big surprise, is really the only time she would bake was when there was a race coming up, and people knew that, and she knew that they would be looking for something. So I guess that was one of the biggest things that sticks out.
That again kind of shocks me based on what you started sharing about your mom is bringing the treats and stuff to the track. So
Mhm.
that was a good one there. Hey man, I can't thank you enough for coming on here, sharing a little bit about your story, talking about Marshfield and some other tracks here. Really looking forward to seeing the Tundra event up this weekend in honor of your mom. It'll be great to see you at the end of the month for the fall shootout. It's been great getting to know you and your family. Really appreciate your friendship and everything that you do for the racing community, because like I said, it's tremendous at how hardworking you are. So I appreciate you, and I can't wait to see you at the end of the month here, and hope it's a great weekend this upcoming Saturday for you.
Awesome. Sounds great. Thanks, Lauren. Thanks, Mark.
Yep, we'll see you down the line, man.
All right. Sounds good.
Mark, it was great to have Brandon on and talk about his mom, Bev, with the Bev Aschenbrenner Memorial coming up here with the Tundra Super Late Models this weekend. A lady that's dearly missed in the racing community. Like I said, all the stories and everything that I heard, a second mom to everyone, just a loving person, and one that we tragically lost there. So it was great to talk to Brandon. He's been great to get to know, like I said, many times over the years. Man, he does make you feel comfortable when you're coming in there. And one of the things as the announcers that you'll figure out, which is why you prepare and do all the work beforehand, is getting to know it. But he makes it so easy on you, and it's incredible. I can't wait to get up there for the fall shootout there, and he just does a tremendous job. So it was great to know about his story there. Some surprises in there as well, which made us laugh and had us thinking a little bit. So it was cool to hear from Brandon.
we sure like to support them up there. Hey, we love that facility up there, man.
Oh,
What a neat old racetrack that is, man. And they got good food up there, and it's just an awesome facility up there, man. It's, it's just not for us. It's not just right across the street, but anytime that I'm open, man, I always love going to Marshfield for sure.
oh, no doubt about it. I am so thankful that I've been asked to come up there and help announce. I would go up there anyway, to be honest with you. I wish it was a little closer, but that's not an excuse. Need to get up there more. Everyone involved does such a great job there, and great facility, like you said.
Absolutely, man. Love that place.
Yep. So get up there for racing this Saturday, the Bev Aschenbrenner Memorial with the Tundra Super Late Models. Get up there Saturday for that event. It's a tremendous event. You won't regret it. It's a great facility, great people, great series going up there. So get up and support that event there. Hey man, this past Friday was the Eva Destruction at Wisconsin International Raceway. Fortunate to announce that with Matt this year. Was a spectacular show. Maybe on a little cooler side there, but nothing we can't handle here. The buses race, the trailer race. The trailer race left a lot of destruction on that quarter mile there. As always, a couple of bus hits. The football was huge. They had a couple of surprises with a couple of fireballs and big, I don't know what you want to call them, just big fireballs on the backstretch, just massive. Ended with fireworks and the jet car burning some vehicles down. A tremendous event there. So kudos to the Vandalic family and everyone involved. Eamon Bauman was a big part of that. He is every year. He's really taking control of that event. So kudos to everyone involved. It was awesome.
It's really good when the fans are leaving, man, and they're all just as happy and just satisfied of seeing stuff get destroyed, huh?
Yeah.
So, yeah, there's no shortage of Eva destruction, right? Yeah, the destruction part of it, they got that down.
Yes, they do for sure. But yeah, it's always an awesome event. I walked away just smiling because everything went smoothly. Ended at a decent time. It was great. Fans packed the place. They were great. So it was just overall, one of the things I'll look back on this year is probably Eva Destruction because I just walked away smiling.
That's all that matters. I mean, you had fun,
Yep, for sure. We had the radio stations there, 95.9, KISS FM. The Razor was there, WAPL was there. Big shout out to Wisconsin Distributors and Busch Light for supporting the show as big as they did too. So thankful for everyone because that was just an awesome Friday night.
What a crowd. Do you see that crowd?
Yeah.
I love it when that place is packed, man. It looks really sharp.
Yeah. One other thing I remember from the night is Craig Van der Wettering. He had to fight his way through traffic. He won the figure 8 race there, so congratulations to him. Ethan Beatty won the trailer race, which was his first, I guess. I talked to him after. And he also won the best appearing bus. He did an Aussie Crazy Train bus. That looked spectacular, too. There was a lot of great buses involved there. So, yeah, the more I think about it, the more I smile even more. So, yeah, kudos to everyone involved. Let's talk some more racing here, Mark. Let's recap some things. So I'll start with Formula One, who was over in Italy this past weekend. Verstappen won the race over Norris and Piastri. Next up, they're going to be in Azerbaijan next weekend.
Yeah, Verstappen hasn't really performed much this summer, but he got onto the winning ways again. Nothing wrong there.
But once again, McLaren nipping at his heels here. So McLaren's been the dominant manufacturer this season.
Yep.
Well, let's talk some NASCAR racing then. Over in Worldwide Technology Raceway, the Xfinity Series and the Cup Series here. Zilich would win the first stage under caution due to Anderson hammering the wall. Quapple would also go out as well under the caution. He was fighting brake issues and an engine issue.
Yeah, that Jordan Anderson, man, that right front, he clobbered the whole wall there, man. Major damage there. But, yeah, Zilich, who was started on the pole, man, got the first stage win there.
Allgaier had a power move on the restart, making it 3 wide and picking up a bunch of positions there. It was a good move for him on that restart, and he would go on and win the stage, but there was a close call between him and Almirola there getting to the end of it.
Yeah, Almirola was definitely fast. He definitely had a long run vehicle, but his pit crew let him down. He finished second in the first stage and he lost 4 positions. And by gum, if he didn't do it in the second stage, same thing. Came in second and lost 4 positions. And hard to perform when your pit crew is letting you down like that.
Yeah, it is. Jeb Burton had a tire go down and he nailed the wall, similar to Jordan Anderson there. Poole would get loose and into Harrison Burton, who would spin. And then Creed didn't get going on the restart, and that stacks it up. Mayer would spin after contact, and these are the drivers that would be collected in the thing. Allgaier, Taylor Gray, Ryan Sieg, Kyle Sieg, and even others. There was a big stack up, big incident there.
10-car pileup, man, made a parking lot out of it. And so unfortunate there, so still like St. Louis, man. I thought I put a good product out, looked very good. Glad they're going back there again next year.
I got to get back there. I saw the Truck Series and the Midwest Tour and the Silver Crown race there. I want to get back for sure. But continuing on here, there was contact on the restart. It all got sorted out, though, thankfully. It would be Connor Zilich who would take the win over Sawalich, Eckes, Jones, Love, Almirola, Hemrick, Retzloff, Day, and Dye. Zilich would be crowned the regular season champion because even though he's been having a spectacular season, he still had to sew that up over at Worldwide Technology Raceway. And the fastest lap also went to Zilich, 33.492, which equals 134.360 miles per hour.
So what is that, 4 in a row for him and 9 all total, man? He's just like Heim, man. He's just in another world in his series.
Yeah, and if you look at the playoff picture, it looks like this. Zilich is plus 59 due to his points. Allgaier's plus 30. So Allgaier's actually has a pretty good buffer himself as well. Mayer's plus 11, Love plus 8, Jones plus 8, Sammy's up 4, Sanchez up 1, Taylor Gray's even at the line, but would be in if it ended. Quapple's even would be below. Creed -2, Harrison Burton -3, and Hill is -5. And remember, Hill had those points taken away, so he's at a deficit there.
Yeah, they interviewed him yesterday, and he's just a little bit bitter, but he realizes that NASCAR had to do something, and so he knows how the cards are stacked right now. And hey, just win, baby, man, and that's all you can do.
That's right, just win. The Cup Series race then, early on, Kyle Busch would spin. Then Elliott and Barry would make contact, and Barry would wreck early once again.
He sure got the bad luck going, man. He couldn't get a couple laps at Darlington, and then he wipes out here. So he has definitely got to win at Bristol, or otherwise his championship run is over.
Briscoe would win the stage barely over Kyle Larson, who was coming.
Yeah, there was a lot of action in that first stage, man. It's just like, where's this all going? So definitely that 19 car, boy, they sure seem to be peaking at the right time. That Briscoe 19 car, you'd swear Truex was driving that car, man. It hasn't missed a step, and definitely going to be relevant here at the end here.
Well, they've shown speed all year. They just weren't putting it together, or would have some mistakes or something would happen. I remember a few weeks ago when I took him for the first time, I told you I like the speed that they're showing, and I think they're starting to put it together, and you're right. I was saying that same thing with you. They're really starting to put it together, and they always had that speed.
Yeah, for sure. So it sure looks like it, man. I think you might see him at the Final Four here, the way them guys are running.
Very well could happen. Unfortunately, Briscoe would lock it up in the middle of 3 wide in stage 2, which puts Suarez in the wall. And then Austin Dillon would get into Ty Dillon, and Ty would wreck. Briscoe would have a long stop under that caution, and they were going to select 2 tires, it looked like, but they ended up going to 4.
Yeah, that was something with Austin saying on the radio, I didn't want to do that, take his own brother out. That was kind of interesting. So, yeah, Hocevar, he got Hosevard by the 24 by Byron, also in the middle of that stage. And unfortunate that Hosevard got some damage out of that mess too.
Well, and then Hocevar gave his teammate Justin Haley damage by rushing through the field to show his displeasure during that, and he actually made contact with the 7 of Haley, and Haley wasn't too happy about it, but it seemed like Haley's crew didn't even want to talk about it. That was kind of strange.
Yeah, but I bet you that was a good meeting on Monday, huh?
Well, if the crew didn't seem to matter, I'm not sure how that went over. I would be curious about that.
Mm-hmm. Don't know.
But one of the bigger things that happened was Larson went into the turn pretty hard there. Blaney was up in the second groove, and Larson just got into Blaney, and Blaney went around. That was a strange looking incident because you kind of just looked at it and wondered where Larson was going.
They were running great laps, and they stuck with it for a while. And as soon as they got off a camera, almost looked like Larson was distracted or something, because he just went in the corner, just drifted right up, and he took Blaney out. And Ryan was not too pleased about that, and he's going to put that one in his memory bank.
I bet. Bubba Wallace would win the stage, though.
Nothing wrong with Bubba Wallace, too. There's some speed with that car, too, man. We're going to see how they're going to shake out here, too.
I agree. But unfortunately, Bubba had a bad restart there after a debris caution. SVG would spin a lap or so later.
How you like the signs coming down on the backstretch? All of a sudden we had debris. What was it, the number 1 sign? And we thought they were going to take them all down, but they went up there and they rebolted them back down, because some drivers might use them as a marker going in, that they put them numbers on the fence that kind of gives you a reference of where your marks are. So interesting that we had a debris for for the side to come out of the fence. We've seen this before, and there's some turbulence as these cars go by, and I could understand how they can get shaken off the fence.
Yep. Ty Dillon then would lose a brake rotor and rides the wall. Smart by him to turn right, because we've seen some drivers turn left, and that's never good.
And there is shrapnel everywhere, man. You see the parts and pieces go flying everywhere, and that's what they were talking about, how, if you could be in the wrong place at the wrong time and catch a piece of that, it could cut a tire down. But, Ty Dillon was smart about that, man. Just ride the wall and bring her to a grinding stop.
Yeah. It would be Denny Hamlin, though, taking the win over Briscoe, Elliott, Blaney, Logano, Nemechek, Bell, Wallace, Buscher, and Gibbs. He would also have the fastest lap, 32.944 seconds, which equals 136.595 miles per hour. The playoff picture looks like this going into Bristol, the cutoff race. Hamlin has a win. Briscoe has a win. Larson's up 60. Wallace is up 50. Blaney's up 42. Byron up 39. Reddick plus 37. Bell plus 32. Elliott plus 28. Logano plus 21. Chastain plus 19. Cindric plus 11. Austin Dillon minus 11. SVG minus 15. Bowman minus 35. And Barry minus 45.
Yeah, I was writing down the results, and all of a sudden this Denny Hamlin decides to start this burnout, on one corner over here. And I'm sitting there writing down, and it just, he just keeps, all of a sudden after a while, just like, that's been going on for a while. And he did that whole front stretch, man. That was that was very impressive burnout all the way down. And, then he had to play the villain kind of, talking to the fans that I beat your best driver, and he plays that card once in a while too.
Oh yeah. He's embracing it, and that's we need guys like that to embrace the villain role.
And hey, he's got a shot. He's been so close to championships at the end, man, and it's always been something, somehow, some way that ends up derailing his championship run. So, hey, throw his hat in the ring and see how that goes. Hey, man, we seen a side of Christopher Bell. Holy smoke! When the race was over, he went and told Adam Stevens over on the radio just how upset he was about the timing of the pit, and thinking that he's the fastest vehicle, and then finished 7th. And never seen or heard a frustration out of Bell like that, man. That was out of character for him.
It was, but man, he's been bitten by that a few times, and I think he was letting his team know and Adam know that he's about had enough of that.
He's got some really good tracks coming up for him, though, man. So I think here, a lot of these racetracks coming up is right in his wheelhouse, and we'll see how that works out for him too.
Including Bristol coming up here.
Yep, the Bristol Stomp this weekend.
Why don't we make our picks here and then talk about some news going on here to end it, Mark, in the TV schedule. So we are going to talk about the trucks. They are racing back this upcoming weekend here. So last year's winner at Bristol in the Truck Series is Lane Riggs. You get to go first there, buddy.
Tell you what, they're running on a Thursday. You know, the ARCA and yeah, the ARCA race, and so is the truck races running there on Thursday, man. So lots of early week racing. Hey, I'm going to take the teammate of the winner last year. I know how Chandler Smith can get around Bristol, man. I'm going to use him up and run the 38 against you out there on Thursday.
I'm going to take the defending winner. I'm going to take Lane Riggs to go back to back there at Bristol, and I still get to use them one more time there, so I still got one in my pocket yet.
All right, there's only 5 after this one, man, in the truck race, so it's winding down right now.
It is coming fast, you bet. The Xfinity Series, last year's winner was Cole Custer. I get to go first for that one. I'm going to use this guy pretty early for the last time. I'm going to pick Justin Allgaier.
Hey, why not? We see how he gets around there. I think he got a third there in the spring, so that's worth pick. But hey, man, Sam Mayer showed us a couple years ago getting his first victory there and seeing how he rips around there, man. So Sam Mayer in that Ford is going to dominate the 7 on Saturday. Or no, Friday. That's Friday night. Let's get that right. Yep.
That's a good pick for you. The Cup Series, then, the defending winner is Kyle Larson. You get to go first.
In the spring, he led 411 laps, man, and just plain flat ass dominated the spring race. So I got him. Well, you can't take Larson because you used him up already. So I'm going to join you, and I'm going to take Kyle Larson for the Cup race and see if he can lead another 400 laps.
All right. Well, I'm going to pick a driver that does well there as well. And, hey, he just happened to win this past week. I'm going to pick Denny Hamlin.
Good pick there, man. Good stuff right there.
I always think of the race that Hamlin won there in the fall when he beat Matt DiBenedetto. I always think about that race for some reason. Like Matty D so close to that first win, and once again, someone had to play villain, and it was Denny Hamlin.
And everybody was rooting for Matty D on that one, man. It would have put him on the map, and he probably would still have a Cup ride if he would have pulled that off. But don't know how that works. And so, but yeah, there's nothing wrong with Denny Hamlin at Bristol, man.
Yeah, no, not at all either. Kyle Larson, too. It's going to be a competitive weekend. I guess I'll just give everyone kind of an update on the points here. Mark, you've had a tremendous season there. You've won a lot. You've picked up a lot of bonus points by picking a lot of winners here. In fact, you have 19 wins to my 8. So that would be 22 points. So essentially, that's kind of the difference there. So kudos to you for having a great season. Right now, you're up 19, 60 to 41. And what is their total between all 3 series? 21 races left?
Yep. So you're going to have to do a slam dunk on the rest of these, man. I got lots of good drivers still in the bank yet, though.
I told you back in the middle part of the season, the thing that concerns me is I've used some pretty good drivers earlier than I normally do, because usually throughout the playoffs, I do pretty well, but you've done well this year. You've done well.
I'm dreaming of prime rib, dude. That nice prime rib over there at the old Black Otter. And, yep, I'm sitting here like Wile E. Coyote right now, man, just ready to lick my chops. I'm ready.
Well, you keep dreaming, because you're just don't call it a comeback, okay?
All right. It ain't over yet. You never give up, man. Never give up in racing. You never know what'll happen.
Right. Yep. All right, let's talk some news here and then the TV schedule and end it. Daniel Ricciardo announced he is retiring from racing here. I thought that was strange timing because I thought he was going to try to even do like a truck race here or there or get into NASCAR. He got back into Formula One recently, and then he was released from that again. So a good driver. Really, kind of the big move for him was moving from Red Bull when he was teammates with Verstappen. He moved from Red Bull, and that was kind of the beginning of the end. Unfortunately, it didn't pan out. The project that he went into with Lotus and all that, it just didn't pan out. And but what a great driver, and congratulations to Daniel on a great career.
Yeah, who knows, man? Just step back for a little bit, and you never know, might surface up somewhere else. But maybe it's the best time is like sit back and just let's check out the surroundings and see where it goes from there. So might not be done. Could be doing a temporary thing.
Yeah. Speaking of Formula One, I talked about this last week on the podcast, how I heard Colton Herta was maybe going to do F2 and Will Power would slide into Colton's ride. In fact, that's kind of what happened, except there's some other news involved with it. So Colton Herta is going to be the Cadillac F1 test driver. Still may drive F2. I would not be surprised if he got into F2 like I had been hearing. And will he be able to do the 500? Bob Pockris did some excellent investigative work here. There are no F2 races in May. So, you could connect the dots there. Maybe Colton come back and run the Indy 500. But anyway, Will Power is replacing him in the 26 at Andretti.
Okay, so looking forward to the next year already, man. Silly season starting up in that series.
Yep. The SRX cars have a new home. GMS did not get any of the SRX branding, trademark, or other rights, but now has the 16 race cars that it can use for events and driving experiences.
Wow. Okay, I saw something that was on the back burner with them. That there's some news there, but I don't know if they can see if they can dig up a TV contract. I don't know. They struck out the first time around. I don't know where that's going to go. So that'll be some news we'll be watching on the off season. I'm sure Slinger probably be involved with that. It's possible.
Maybe. We'll have to see what they want to do with it. Do they just want to do racing experiences, or do they want to do some smaller events? I'm not sure. But now GMS holds that, but they do not hold the branding, trademark, or rights. So,
but it still has a heartbeat. So there we go.
Leah Pruitt is planning on making a return in 2026. Tony Stewart took over for her the last 2 years as they were having a family and starting their young family. Tony has not announced or finalized any plans for himself, though, but excited to have Leah Pruitt back in the car.
Okay, so we'll see where that goes. I'm sure there'll be some racing in that family for sure.
Mm-hmm. Haas factory team will switch to Chevy next year with Hendrick engines, both in Cup and Xfinity. Team also announced the lineup will remain the same with Cole Custer in the 41 Cup car. In Xfinity, it will be the 00 of Sheldon Creed and 41 of Sam Mayer. So they're smart. They're smart going to Chevy.
That's your opinion, but I'll tell you what, they've sure been underachieving, man, all the way around. Both on the Xfinity side, Creed still hasn't popped. He's had some good results, but just ain't got the finishes. Sam Mayer just popped a victory recently, but on the Cup side with Cole Custer, just like, wow, what a crazy year for him. How much he runs on road courses and how good he is at the intermediate tracks, and he just has not been relevant at all in that 41 car.
You have to remember, though, how long has this been in the works? So, as Ford been pulling back the reins a little bit, it was already a transition year for them going from Stewart Haas to just Haas and kind of making those changes there. So they've had a lot to deal with. So maybe even next year going to Chevy is still another transition year. What does that look like for them? So who knows there? The other domino that I thought about during this, and I have no knowledge of this, but something that I thought about is they're going to Chevy. There's already a lot of Chevy teams in Xfinity and all that, which is the reason they kind of switched to Ford to begin with. I started connecting the dots and saying, I know they said no for now, but is Kaulig going to switch from Chevy to whoever is that manufacturer that Solaris, whoever owns Ram and Dodge and all that, whatever manufacturer they own, is Kaulig going to go to that? And that's the reason why Haas is making the move back to Chevy. I don't know that is, but something that's in the back of my mind is going to Chevy. Chevy already has a bunch of support. Are they splitting themselves too thin unless Kaulig is making that decision? And that's in the pipeline. I know they've said no for now, but something that was just in the back of my head.
Yep, that's probably a good observation there, looking at how you can jump from one end to the other. But that's going to be a big deal when Ram or Dodge or whatever. I think it's right now it's the Ram name. It's not the Dodge name. And we'll see where it goes. But, first the trucks got in and they got their foot in. So now we'll see what happens with the other series.
Yep. Sammy Smith is returning to Junior Motorsports next season. So that's been a decent pairing. So they'll try it again next year.
I think that's a good match. Sammy is getting better. He at Martinsville, he got one hell of a lesson, and he was scoring for that. Good driver. I think another year experience would be a good thing for him. So I think that is a good move right there.
Mm-hmm. Brendan Queen is going to be in the Kaulig number 11 this Friday at Bristol.
So you ain't got it right either. Thursday, yeah, okay, I got you. I'm thinking Xfinity Saturday this weekend, but yeah, move this all around. Hey, we seen how Brendan Queen runs in the ARCA series. He gets around really well. So we see the talent there, and he can go celebrate over at the Waffle House with some chocolate milk.
That's right. And then Hendrick is swapping most of the number 77 pit crew over to the 48 of Alex Bowman for Bristol. So the front changer will be Daniel Bach, rear changer will be Rod Cox, jackman will be Cody French, and tire carrier will be Jarius Moorhead. So a couple of changes there for the 77 and 48 cars.
Okay, a little change up there. We'll see what happens with that.
Mm-hmm. Any news that you want to talk about before we talk about the short track events coming up this weekend and going into the TV schedule?
Hey, what's up with this NASCAR talking to Trackhouse that these guys are running? They're running down in the grass, and what are they trying to do? Pick up some weight, or if these cars go to R&D and they're dirty and they maybe miss something? I don't understand what they're actually doing, but they got a warning and they have been talking to.
Yeah, I don't know what the deal with it is. That was really strange this past weekend. The things that I read online is maybe they'll pick up with the hot tires. They'll pick up some dirt and grass on the tires just to make sure the weight makes. But kind of strange. I don't know.
There's a rumor that said there was a couple cars that were within a pound and a half of being illegal, so that was that close, and I'm sure they run it that close. And then they said there was like 15 cars that ran up high, and they're collecting all the marbles and everything, so they're thinking that might help the ride height when they get to tech. But once when the checker flag flies, them cars are impounded, and they're supposed to go right directly. And they're pulling some of these things that NASCAR don't like. And when the race is over, they want them cars to directly go to the garage and not messing around driving in marbles and grass and all of that. So there was a verbal talking to this weekend about that.
There was, yeah. We'll see what comes of it. I'm sure it was something because it was both of them, but we'll see how that shakes out going forward.
Yeah. Hey, they ran the last race down at Slinger. They ran the prolates down there, and that Jaden Johnson, man, that young kid has a way of getting around the track. He has Casey Johnson helping him out, and Casey's also helping Grant Griesbach also, man. So what a guy to have in your corner there. But Jaden Johnson not only won the race, but he won the championship down there. He's 16 years old. I understand he bought a different car already, so he's already looking forward to next year. So that's an impressive story coming out of Slinger.
It was, yeah. He had, a 30-some point lead going in, 36, 38, something like that. So things were looking pretty good for him going into the night, but to walk it off, that's pretty impressive at only 16 here. So future looks bright for for him as well. But what a great season down at Slinger too. Kelsey and Travis Dasso, their first year. Kudos to them. Incredible year. Can't wait to talk to them more on how it went and what the future holds here.
I would actually think it was a successful season. Their first
No doubt.
year, just being a rookies
No doubt.
at this, boy, they spruced up the place. It looked great. The racing is awesome, man. Good crowd and everything like that. Yeah, I would say their first year is a success for them.
Oh, no doubt. Yeah, absolutely.
So down at the Dells, Nick Dalton, he won down there and took the championship down there. And then, hey, this weekend is the 60th annual short track championship down there. That used to run at Rockford all the time, and they moved that up to Dells this weekend, and that's running on Saturday. So go support that one also.
Yeah, and the super lates there are on Sunday. You heard Brandon talk about that with that Alive for 5 rain out there. So they got a huge weekend down at Dells Raceway Park coming up.
Yeah, so go on down there and get a hotel and spend a weekend at the Dells. That'd be a way to go. So,
absolutely.
Yeah, that's about all I got, man. Just not much of the local scene. Kaukauna done for the year, and and now Slinger's done, and now we're just catching up some of these other special events, man. Before we get to Oktoberfest here, first week in October.
Yep, still got a lot of good racing. I know. Obviously, we talked about the Bev Aschenbrenner Memorial with the Tundra Super Lates at Marshfield this weekend. We just talked about Dells Raceway Park. The following weekend is Elko Speedway with the Midwest Tour, Plymouth with the Dirt Kings. I'm sure there's the following Thursday, and that weekend is a big weekend down at 141 that we're looking at. They're going to have late models even on Thursday night, the asphalt late models, I should say, even on that Thursday night for that weekend, and then that fall shootout at Marshfield, and then Oktoberfest, and then the 2 weekends after that is the Halloween race. So still some good racing left here. Make sure you get out and support your local short tracks.
Yep, Jefferson is also running that weekend. Yes. Also of the 20th. They got their big special down there also. So, hey, got a lot of good races to support, man. So fans need to get out there and do that.
Yeah. In fact, the Midwest Trucks even have that doubleheader that weekend down at Jefferson. So that's a huge weekend down there as well. That's the 19th and 20th.
Pick your racetrack. Where do you want to go? Get going. Yeah, there's more than enough racing out there.
That's right. Well, the TV schedule looks like this then. On Thursday, this will be Central Time, by the way. Noon will be ARCA practice and qualifying. 2:05 on FS2 is truck practice and qualifying. 4:39, weird time. FS1 is the ARCA 200. Then 7:20 on FS1 is the truck race stages of 65, 65, and 120 with 3 sets of tires. Friday then, 1 o'clock CW app, Xfinity practice and qualifying. 3:30 on True TV is Cup practice and qualifying. 6 o'clock on the CW is pre-race. 6:40 on the CW is the Xfinity Series race. Stages of 85, 85, and 130 with 4 sets of tires. And then Saturday, 6 o'clock on USA is pre-race. 6:35 on USA, the Cup Series race will get going. Stages of 125, 125, and 250 with 10 sets of tires. In the 70s during the day, 60s at night, 5% chance of moisture. Looks beautiful down there. Looks beautiful up here. So a lot of good racing to watch, to attend. Looks like it's going to be a great weekend.
Yes, sir. Good weekend. Lots of racing. I love it. Yeah, it's going to be nice around here. Like, as soon as I saw Saturday in Tundra, and all of a sudden right away they went, all of a sudden they started mentioning discomfort up that way. But sounds like it's an early morning kind of thing, man. We're just going to kind of clean the dust off of there, and they should have a heck of a show up there in Marshfield on Saturday.
Yep, for sure. Get out there. Support the great series, great tracks. Everything. Hey, another thing we didn't talk about with Bristol coming up is the tire. A lot of talk with the tire. Is it going to be where it goes away after 40 or 50 laps like we saw a couple years ago, and you're going to really need to go into tire conservation mode, or what is the tire going to do? So that's another thing to watch this weekend.
That'd be fun, man. I remember that a couple of years ago, and I don't even think they made like lap 45, and that was the maximum on the tires. So, yeah, that was an interesting race. We both agreed that we'd like to see maybe 20 more laps, but sure made for an interesting race, man, where you have to manage your tires. So, yeah, I'm all for that. Let's see what happens there.
Yeah, maybe heavy on the tire wear, but no cording like that. You don't want that. That's not necessarily tire wear. So heavy tire wear would be great.
It'd be great to get Bristol back the way it was, man. To have some, that used to be the hottest ticket that you would have to a waiting list to get, and haven't been there yet. That's definitely on the list. But yeah, Bristol hasn't been the same recently, and they keep tweaking it and they're working on it. And let's hopefully they hit a bullseye on this one, and we'll have an awesome weekend down there.
Yep, for sure. Well, man, this has been therapeutic today. We started this thing. It's hard to start, but this has definitely been therapeutic. So I appreciate you. Thank you to Brandon Aschenbrenner for coming on, getting to know him a little bit more, and for you guys to know him a little bit more too. He's a great guy. We appreciate his work in the racing community. So I'm sure we'll have him on again in the near future. Again, remember to get out and support your local racetracks. Thank you also to Tim with the Corp Racing, Ben and Kerry with Valley Gasket. Remarkable what you do for all of us. And hey, man, looking to be a great couple days here. 9/11 tomorrow, that'll be a tough one. Got the Packer game too, so hopefully a little bit of a distraction there from that. Never forget 9/11. So hopefully everyone can carry on and have a great day. Remember, treat others how you want to treat people. I think that's a very important message, especially after the last week or two events here. So just look in the mirror and think before you say something negative. So enough of me on my soapbox here. Thanks, buddy. And hey, we'll talk to you soon.
We'll talk to you later, man.
See ya.
This has been a production of Lore Sports. Hope you all enjoyed it, and thank you for listening.